The year is 1969. Cartoonists William Hanna and Joe Barbera release a brand new cartoon series, Scooby Doo, Where Are You? Such a simple premise about four friends and their pet dog going off to solve mysteries and unmasking bad guys. But what if I were to tell you that the series was in danger of coming to an end, just like all the other Hanna-Barbera cartoons? That is, if not for one movie. Hello, my name is Jeremy Senpai, and it is October, the month of Macabre, my favorite time of year. So I thought to myself what to talk about for the season, and in doing so, I decided to talk about the Scooby Doo movies, specifically the four movies that helped reignite the interest in the franchise. I'm talking, of course, about the four movies Zombie Island, The Witch's Ghost, Alien Invaders, and the Cyber Chase. While I'll be talking about the main story itself, I also want to talk about the behind the scenes story about what led to Zombie Island becoming the gold standard of Scooby Doo movies, even after 20 years, over 20 years since its release, and then what led for the other three to follow in its footsteps. But first, how's about we set the mood?
They've unmasked over 200 criminals together. Consider it practice. In the world television premiere, it's Scooby Doo and the gang in a brand new movie adventure. This time, the monsters are real. Cartoon Network's Cartoon Theater presents Scooby Doo on Zombie Island. Tonight at 8, only on Cartoon Network.
That's right. This time, the monsters were real. There's a lot I want to talk about when it comes to the behind the scenes of what it took to create this movie, but what do you say we just talk about the movie first off? The movie opens up with the gang investigating a castle and being haunted by a green monster, resulting in an iconic Scooby Doo chase scene with the classic theme, this time being played by Third Eye Blind. Complete here with Daphne and Velma almost falling to their deaths, but with Scooby and Shaggy saving the day in their usual goofball way. They capture the monster, and of course, he's unmasked and revealed to be a real estate agent, using the whole setup as a cover for a counterfeit operation. Then it's revealed that this is some years later, with Daphne recounting the mystery while on a talk show. Daphne then explains that the gang went their separate ways because they got burned out with every mystery they worked on would just be a guy in a mask. Daphne became a TV reporter with Fred as her one man crew and are doing a special segment where they are determined to find real monsters and ghosts and not just people in costumes. Next, we cut to Scooby and Shaggy, who are working as security guards at an airport, sniffing around for contraband food. Now we cut over to Velma, who is running her own mystery bookshop where she is miserable, saying that solving mysteries was more fun than selling them, only to get a phone call from Fred, and then back to Scooby and Shaggy, where, in typical fashion, they eat all the contraband and get fired, only to get a call from Fred as well. Now we see Fred and Daphne getting ready to leave, only for Fred to reveal the big surprise that Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby will be coming along And with a little redecorating for the van, Mystery Inc. is back in business, and they are heading for Louisiana. However, as we see with this little short montage, the gang encounter monsters, but in the end, they all turn out to just be more people en masse. In fact, the song that plays during this chase even says so with its lyrics. The ghost is here and there's no reason to shake. The ghost is here, oh give us a break. It's fake. Taking a break, Daphne is disappointed because she was hoping for finding real monsters. Instead, it's just some of the same old song and dance. Hearing this, they meet a woman named Lena, voiced by Tara Strong, who says that she works as a cook on a pepper plantation island that is said to be haunted by the ghost of pirate captain Morgan Moonscar. Interested, Daphne signs the gang up for a trip to the haunted island. But first, we cut to Scooby and Shaggy enjoying a po' boy. And believe me, thanks to this movie, I so wanted to try some Louisiana cuisine. The gang then heads out and get on the ferry, where Lena is shocked to discover they have a dog and reveals that her employer has cats on her island, but they ensure that Scooby is good with cats. The ferry then heads out, but Shaggy falls overboard but is saved before he gets eaten by alligators. However, he's saved by a fisherman voiced by Mark Hamill. Yes, that Mark Hamill. He hates tourists as they scare away the catfish that he's been hunting for years. They arrive on the island where we see dozens of cats, which makes Scooby go crazy and chase them, only to literally bump into the owner of the plantation, Miss Simone Lenoir. And we also get to meet the new gardener, Bo Neville, having no problems with getting upset with his work being destroyed by Scooby's antics. We're introduced to the owner of the house, Simone, who hates dogs and isn't pleased that the gang has come to the island. But Lena vouches for the gang and then they are allowed in the house. As usual, Shaggy and Scooby head to the kitchen to eat while the rest of the gang are given a tour of the house. While enjoying some gumbo and some hot peppers, which honestly, even after all these years, I still want to try. But there's a chill in the air, leading to our first spooky encounter. The rest of the gang come to the kitchen, only to see "Get Out" carved on the wall. Daphne tries to get fudge, only for another chill, and then the word beware is added. Then Velma begins to levitate in the air. Fred is skeptical that there's a trick to it, but Velma says that there's nothing holding her up. Shaggy and Scooby gear down, then they check the camera, only to see a pirate ghost, revealed to be the Captain Morgan Moonscar, where Simone tells the gang that the pirates were believed to have buried their treasure on the island. This leads Fred to believe in the old formula that somehow someone is wearing a costume and scaring people off the island to look for the treasure. Scooby and Shaggy want to leave right away and pack up a meal for the road, while Velma investigates further and destroys the wall to the kitchen, revealing the word Maelstrom, the name of Morgan Moonscar's pirate ship, confirming that parts of the ship were used to construct the house. Meanwhile, Scooby and Shaggy are trying to enjoy a picnic, only for Scooby to chase the cats and then get chased by Snakebite's hunting pig, Mojo, causing Scooby and Shaggy to fall into a giant hole in the ground, where a pirate skeleton comes to life right in front of them, causing the both of them to run away and bump into Bo the gardener. And then the rest of the gang arrive. After explaining the situation, Velma becomes suspicious of Bo. With nighttime coming, Simone suggests that they stay the night. We cut to everyone getting settled into their own rooms and getting ready for dinner. During this, Scooby and Shaggy see a ghost in the mirror. Velma investigates, and we discover that the mirror belonged to a Civil War soldier whose barracks were on the island. Before they can have dinner, Scooby is about to chase the cats again, so Shaggy and Scooby end up having a crawdad boil in the mystery machine, which honestly makes me want to try crawdads. I mean, I've tried crab and shrimp, but I really want to try crawdads someday. So, for whoever's watching me, please tell me what it's like to try crawdads. I really want to know, and I'm still curious to this day. Anyway, the van gets surrounded by cats, forcing Scooby and Shaggy to drive away. Later, both of them eat more hot peppers and then run out and drink from the bayou. However, there is a green light that goes into the water, and then bodies start coming to life, with Shaggy and Scooby still under the water, and now they're running away from the swarm of zombies. Back at the house, Fred, Daphne, and Velma hear the commotion outside and go out to check on Shaggy and Scooby. They run into Bo and then split up, Velma going with Bo, while Daphne and Fred find the mystery machine, and then Scooby and Shaggy. And then we get the iconic scene.
The gardeners!
No!
It's the fisherman!
No!
It's the ferryman!
Oh!
Maybe it's real! Huh.
It's real. The zombies are real. It's not a mask, it's not an animatronic. They are 100% real. This results in another chase scene where Fred trips and the camera sinks into the quicksand. Now, a bit of a spoiler here, but if you notice a few things about the zombies. First, that they wear clothes from various time periods, from pirates, Civil War soldiers, to power suits, and some are even wearing tourist clothes. One even has a camera over his neck. Another thing is that the zombies haven't attacked anybody. They're just walking slowly up to the gang and they run away. In fact, there's a few times where they are shown helping. Scooby and Shaggy fall into a cave where they discover voodoo dolls that look like Fred, Velma, and Daphne. They pick them up, resulting in the three floating in the air, and shenanigans happen. A little later, they hear screams coming from the house. The gang go back and discover the lights off and Lena hiding under the stairs. Lena says that the zombies drag Simone away, but Velma examines the tracks in the ground and is suspicious. The gang, along with Lena, go down the passageway and come across an underground chamber. Here, Velma confronts Lena about the footsteps, revealing that Simone wasn't dragged, but walked down the passageway. Meanwhile, Scooby and Shaggy run into the ferryman, believing he'll take them to safety, but he reveals himself to be a cat monster, where he chases Scooby and Shaggy, but they're saved by the zombies. Back to the gang. Simone and Lena use the voodoo dolls to subdue them, and then they transform in a scene that didn't need to go that hard, but honestly, I am glad that they did. Simone reveals their backstory that she and Lena were among settlers on the island 200 years ago when Morgan Moonscar and his pirate crew arrived and drew the others into the bayou where they are killed by alligators. Simone and Lena were able to survive, and pray to their cat god for revenge. They turned into cat monsters and kill Moonscar and the pirates, but they reveal that whenever the harvest moon comes, they need to drain the life energy from other people in order to survive. Over the years, more ships came to the island. Among them were spice traders who started the plantation and built the house. That is, until the next harvest moon, and they killed the settlers and took control of the island. Here, we learned that the zombies weren't trying to hurt anyone and were trying to warn the gang about what was going to happen. Scooby and Shaggy trip and fall down into the ritual chamber, knocking away the cat people and saving the gang. However, Simone and Lena enter their final forms and attack Scooby and Shaggy, only for the zombies to show up and start fighting back. Velma gets her voodoo doll, freeing herself and then the others. We then see the cat people catching Shaggy and Scooby and starting to drain the life out of them. However, Velma and Daphne save the day using the same voodoo magic on them. Jacques then shows up and saves the others, and now we have the cat people cornering the gang who lost the voodoo dolls. That is, until it's revealed that it's past midnight and they failed to steal the life force from anyone. So they start to burn and decay. With their spirits now avenged, the zombies start to fall apart and are able to rest in peace.
Thank you.
Daphne, having lost the camera, is really upset that nobody will believe them, having finally discovered real monsters. Then Bo reveals that he is a police detective who was investigating the disappearances on the island. The movie ends with the gang getting on a ferry, leaving the island, while Scooby is getting some peppers for the trip. He gets on the ship just in time and indirectly causes the fishermen to lose the catfish just after he finally caught her. Now safely on the ferry, Shaggy gives Scooby a sandwich, happy that they can finally have a peaceful meal. Scooby is about to eat when he is surrounded by cats, with their eyes glowing, and the movie ends just there. Okay, now that I've explained the movie, I'm going to go over the behind the scenes that I mentioned back in the beginning. After a 30-year run with 6 to 8 TV shows and 4 movies, the Scooby Doo franchise was struggling now. In 1991, a pup named Scooby Doo ended its run after 27 to 30 episodes, and in doing so, Scooby Doo stopped airing on Saturday morning cartoons for the first time since its premiere show, Where Are You? By this point, Time Warner had purchased Hanna-Barbera, and in order to reignite interest, the idea of a TV movie was proposed, and many Scooby Doo animation veterans were brought onto the project. Davis Doy spearheaded the project and wrote the screenplay alongside Glenn Leopold, who has been working on Scooby Doo since the 1979 Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo, and also did work on SWAT Cats. In fact, some of the script from the show in one episode called The Curse of Cataluna was brought onto the movie. The director was Jim Stenstrom, who worked on the 1981 show The New Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo Show. And last is Lance Falk, who served as the model coordinator and color designer. The crew had complete creative freedom and little to no corporate influence from the higher ups, since this was believed to be just a one off experiment with no plans at the time to move the series any further. Now, the four that I mentioned before originally planned for the movie to be another mask off story, but eventually decided to make the twist was that the monsters were real to change up the formula just a bit. Alright, now onto the casting. Casey Kasem refused to reprise his role as Shaggy due to him being a vegetarian, and sadly, they were unable to come to a compromise because the animation team already had Shaggy eating crawdads and other meat by this point. So, leading the Shaggy being voiced by Billy West, best known for playing Fry from Futurama, Steve Smith from Family Guy, Roger from Doug during its Nickelodeon run, and so on. Next up is Don Mesisick. Scooby's original voice actor passed away in 1997, so he was recast with Scott Innes. Mary May Bergman played Daphne after replacing Heather North. Frank Welker reprised his role as Fred and still holds the character to this day. In fact, he would eventually go on to voice Scooby himself and Fred at the same time. And last, we have BJ Ward who played Velma. Okay, now to talk about the music of the movie, because there is a very interesting and controversial story about that. Both songs for the movie, The Ghost Is Here and Terror Time, were performed by Sky Cycle. The band wrote the entire album, which included both of these songs, only for their record label requested for them to postpone and release the album until the holiday season, believing that it was, quote, better for established artists. The band also believed that with the growth of the internet, they should release the album as a downloadable MP3, believing that this would help with their promotion, which was also denied by their label. However, they released some of their songs as downloadable on their website at the time, and sadly, despite everything, the record label dropped them and still didn't release the album. So sadly, despite everything that they've done, the band did get screwed over and sadly didn't get the record that was due to them until many, many years later. Okay, back to the movie. This movie has some interesting parallels compared to a live action movie. Just like in both, the gang solve a mystery to set the stage for their characters, and then in the aftermath, they go their separate ways. In the live action movie, it's because they get into a petty fight and can't cooperate and learn to work together, while in Zombie Island, the gang is burned out. After every time they had a mystery, it was ultimately revealed to be someone in a mask and not a real monster, and then they are all on good terms and are shown to genuinely miss each other. The formula was plain and dried out, not just for the audience, but the filmmakers too. This is even referenced in the film, where Velma pulls out the Scooby snacks and Shaggy says that they are stale, really adding the passage of time. When the old formula worked, this is even more so when Fred briefly wears his ascot and then quickly rethinks it. Another example of how dated the formula was compared to this movie. Okay, each of these movies have a running theme where each member is given focus. This movie specifically was Daphne and Fred's, as they are the most successful out of all the gang, and yet Daphne is unsatisfied. Unlike in the past, where Daphne is the often damsel in distress who gets kidnapped but provides clues during so, she is front and center and the driving force of the movie, where she is desperate to find real ghosts and monsters, which puts the gang in more danger than she planned, which ultimately was fruitless as the camera was destroyed in the quicksand. Also, apparently the executives tried to give this movie a sequel like 19 years later, and do not watch it. It's not worth the trouble. Moving on from here, in conclusion, there was a lot of love that came into this movie, especially when the crew pulled the series from the brink of death. And given how the series is still going strong to this day, and Zombie Island's influence is still felt to this day, whether you are a classic Scooby Doo fan or a newcomer just getting started, this movie is a must watch and is without a doubt the gold standard of Scooby Doo movies. But what do you think? Those are just my thoughts. What are yours? What do you think regarding Zombie Island? Do you think it really lives up to all the hype or not? Do you have different ideas? Please share your ideas in the comments down below. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Hit like and subscribe if you like what you heard and you want to hear more. And please have yourself a good day.